I'm sitting down and I'm going to just say, never fail to ask for accommodation if you ever need one. Okay? Thank you. I know I can't see anyone, which is a good thing for me. And I'm sure you all can see me, so which is great. But I'm going to start by saying thank you to Sosa and for inviting me to come speak here today. How did I meet Sosa? I met Sosa through a very extraordinary meeting. I'm sure she agrees with me. And she kind of like sparked my interest, really, because I got a recommendation from a friend that was looking for someone who could come MC an event. And Sosa was highly recommended, and then I reached out to her. So it's been a relationship that we're building, and I've had the great privilege to have Sosa actually come moderate the 2023 Interplay Summit for Forbes, which was really very amazing, and she did an amazing job. So thank you, Sosa. And once again, I'm just going to start by actually, first of all, asking you to join me in my presentation today, in my speaking. And then I'm going to ask some questions. Don't be shy. And if you're like me, you cannot stand up, just put your hands up. I know I can't see you, which is a plus for you. And if you can stand, just stand. Okay. Someone said no, I'll let you see them. Okay. So if you've had a miscarriage or lost a child or trying to conceive, stand up or put your hands up. If you've lost a job, made redundant, looking for a job, or in a financial tight situation, stand up or put your hands up. If you've been divorced, separated, or looking for 1 + 1, put your hands up. Don't put your hands down. I need the hands up, even if you have to do it 2 times, 3 times. And even if you have to stand, just keep the hands up. And if you know anyone who suffers mental health, or he's been diagnosed with mental health, or maybe you suffer mental health yourself, stand up or put your hands up. Okay, if you know anyone who has been domestically abused, physically abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused, put your hands up or stand up. If you know anyone who is fighting for their life, maybe they've had cancer, maybe they're a cancer survivor, put your hands up or stand up. Now, while your hands remains up, just look around and see that adversity never discriminates. So you can put your hands down. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm going to talk about resilience is a therapy. And we never should be ashamed or put a stigma when it comes to mental health. And I'm really so lucky that someone gave a definition of resiliency, so I'm not going to go there. I'm going to leave that, and hopefully we all remembered what the meaning of resilience, because we hear that word all the time, we say that. Is there anybody who hasn't used the word resilience? Maybe you tell someone, you need to be resilient, you need to show more resilience, right? It's become a fashionable word, but do we actually know what it entails or how to practice that, or how to actually use resilience as a therapy? That becomes questionable. So oftentimes, we don't really know something until we experience it. And life has a way of teaching us that. So I usually find a way to say resilience is life. Because when we had our hands up, everyone knows someone or has been through something that is challenging or they have to overcome. And that brings a different person out of you. And if it doesn't, please continue to get therapy. And I really mean that. So while I talk about resilience as a therapy, I want to share some synopsis of my life. So I have 3 beautiful children, very challenging sometimes. And I remember when the MC was giving Sosa all that, accolades, and the parents stood up, and I was like, wow, I really want to stand up in the audience with my kids sitting out there sometimes and someone says something beautiful, like we said about Sosa. But life or healing or whatever we're going through is not a linear path. And resilience teaches us how to actually maneuver and overcome those challenges that we face. And those challenges, as I said, resilience has and correlates with life, because we might go through one thing that's so difficult and we feel that's it. God's not going to put me through something else again. I've experienced that. But life is a roller coaster. So, this woman here, Mariat, left England 2014 after a failed relationship. I should say the second one, actually. And the lovely lady said, there is hope. 1 + 1, there is hope. I was just singing that in my head, but I'm not looking, so it's okay. So I left England in 2014 to come to Canada to do my MBA and then go back. I needed a break. I was suffocating, and I just needed some peace. And you can imagine how Canada was the perfect place, because no one is going to come look for me here, right? So I chose to come to Canada. And I was coming with 2 children. One really, has taught me a lot of things in life, because he's neurodivergent. And another word for that is autistic. So my second son is 20 now, autistic, and I came down to Canada, and I was going to study full-time. And life taught me a different meaning when I came to Canada, not because I came to Canada, but just because it was a part of life that I have to go through. So at the tail end of my MBA, it was time for me to move back to England, and I was trying to start organizing stuff, where my uncle said, you know what, why don't you come to Ontario, spend some time, maybe you like it here. It's too cold in Calgary and too lonely for you. Come over here and spend time. My uncle, ironically, is a neurosurgeon based in Toronto. So I moved over. I wanted to spend time with them, and I didn't know that what I was going to face was something I was going to take my life into 360-degree twist on. And I remember my uncle looking at me, and he probably knew what he was saying, but I didn't know. You have to get yourself checked. You can't be falling over. This is not I really don't like the symptomatic signs here. I said, Uncle, I'm going to England quickly. I'm going to leave the kids with you guys. I think it's coming from my bunion surgery I did, so I have to go see those doctors. They have to compensate me if they've done something wrong. That's the way we English talk. The part of that English brain of me is gone. We're always looking for compensation. But anyway, I went to England quickly, and my doctors, I walked in my GP, we call them GP, and he said to me, you've got to go do an MRI. This doesn't look good. And I was like, okay. And I had to do an emergency MRI, and it came as a tumor in my spinal cord. And I was like, okay, now I'm not going to believe this. I'm going to go back to Canada, because they haven't said anything. The only thing they said was arthritis, and that was fine. And my doctor was like, you need to check this out. I came back straight away, bought a new ticket, and I took the next flight, and I came back to Canada, stumped the office of my doctors here and said, what's going on? They told me it's a tumor, this is the report. And Canada wanted me to do another report, and I did another MRI testing, and it came as a tumor. And I remember sitting in the hospital, and I went through flashbacks, and a lot of things was just going through my thoughts. I felt like, well, maybe I have to start planning my own funeral, because I really do like to plan a good party. So there were so many thoughts coming through, and in all of those thoughts, there was one thing that I knew that I held on to. I started having this inbuilt resilience in me. I remember also not forcing, putting a face like I was okay when I wasn't. So this is what I started doing. I connected with a most deeper way of appreciating what life is, and that was spiritual. And I have a deep connection now, and I start building on that even while in the hospital and I had the surgery. And the tumor in the spinal cord was not enough. It was also a 4th stage malignant tumor in my kidneys. So I usually call my tumors my double D friends, right? So, and for me, it was more, I had to plan a funeral or hold on to life, that there was hope. So I mentioned spirituality, then I head on to hope. And I realized that I was holding on to hope with a bit of a fragment. I was not fully holding on to hope. And it taught me to fully hold on to hope. Because if hope is the only thing you have, you're in the right place. And I head on to hope so deeply, and I cried out and I called on to God for help. And I looked at my children, I wasn't ready to leave them. And that was because as a mother, I didn't feel there was anyone else that was going to do the job better than I would do. And I cried for help. And I also head on to my support network. And I know a speaker mentioned that. So people around you is crucial. So in terms of building that resilience, spirituality, and the people around me. And fast forward, I was in hospital for 5 months. I was sent home in a wheelchair because when the surgery was done, I was paralyzed from my waist down to my toe. And I was told I would never be able to walk again. And then my family was trying to put together for me to have a fancy wheelchair. Usually we hear them in the front room talking about what kind of wheelchair, not this one, the one with the electric thing she can move around. I'd be like, oh my God. The last time I was having conversation about wheels was what kind of car I was going to buy. I'm understanding that I like fast cars. And it just shows you how someone mentioned you could be a CEO and you can be stacking shelves. And I sold a property. I had 2 properties in England. I sold one to come here. And then with a vicious cycle divorce I was going through, I couldn't touch the second property, that I could not even touch money from the joint account. So I was running out of cash, and I was dependent on the people network around me to survive. And then sometimes you feel for people around you, you don't want to ask them too much. So I will not ask sometimes when I need, and I will cope with whatever little I have. And then I will line my kids up at food bank, and I would tell them, you got to go and pretend you don't know me. I'm going to go first, and you go second, and I line my kids up, and we go take bags. And when we come home with 3 bags, and we're so excited, and Mama just have to take like $30 to Superstore anyway. And I remember those days when I came to, when I first came to Canada, and I used to see in Superstore there was packages, no name. I said, well, what the heck is that, no name? And never want to buy that, but they were my favorite best thing during that period. And I buy all the frozen chicken wings and all the frozen drumsticks, and everything was frozen, no name. And my kids were very, Mom, what's that? You told you don't eat that. I said, no, we do. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Gonna spice it nicely. Trust me, it's gonna come out really good. And so life hits me with financial disability, not just my physical disability too. I didn't have a job, I didn't have money, I had people, I had my faith, and I was holding so dearly on that. And I didn't want to give up either, so don't give up. No matter what you're going through, I thought about different things. I thought about suicide. I thought about, what am I going to do? What about if I just die? I can't bear this pain. The cancer didn't kill me. Maybe I should just go. Maybe I should just put my kids into my sister's care. Thoughts will come. So your brain is a network of different things. But it depends on those thoughts that you're going to hold on to. Are you going to push those negative thoughts away and exchange them for positive thoughts. So that spiritual aspect started teaching me how to stay grounded and stay close to God, and not even the fact that I went through a trance, and I know some of you, if you're not spiritual, you won't understand this, but I'm not here to tell you stories that are not true. While in the hospital, I wasn't going to die of cancer. God made that clear. But I was going to die of E. coli because they were exchanging the cataracts and changing all of that stuff that goes through. I'm sure Sosa will probably be able to tell us more about that. She's a nurse. But I got an infection, and that infection took my blood pressure, skyrocketed, and my pulse disappeared. And I was having huge temperature. And this is a story as narrated by the nurses and the friends in the room. And they actually called me, they were almost going to call my death time, which is a tattoo that I have on my back for 12:46 p.m. in the afternoon on the 17th of May 2017 was supposed to be my death day. But the nurse pleaded with the doctor, put it one more time, the electrical machine, to resuscitate my life. So they tried it one more last time after 3 times. The doctor was hesitant because he said, I don't want to do it too many times because, the 3rd time we've done it 3 times. I think there's a protocol. But they broke the protocol with me, and they did it the 4th time. And I came back alive, but I came back alive for 2 weeks. I didn't know anybody. So I came back with a foggy brain. I didn't know my children, I didn't know where I was, and I thought I was kidnapped. My brain went back to when I was 10 years old. That was how the story was told. I didn't know what happened, but that was how it was narrated to me. But I stayed hold on to faith, and I knew there was something in store. So faith, hope, and I'm going to talk about another one, gratitude. I also started practicing a lot of gratitude. And I still do. For everyone who was with me or not with me, and I came up that I really want to be such a really kind person. And I really saw the pain that I went through. And I couldn't imagine that pain inflicted on someone else. So I took it upon myself as a mission to help anyone who is going through hard times, or someone who's just going through difficult times, someone who is lonely, facing depression, and I just started helping people because that was what I was called to when I went in that trance, and I saw the way out of the world. In a spiritual way, I saw the journey of death, and I came back. And I felt I had a calling to really be there for people. So your faith, hold on to hope, hold on to the people around you, don't give up, show gratitude. That was how I built my resilience. And I'm not bitter for what has happened to me, because I've taken every failure that have happened to me and I've taken them as strength to build on and move forward and be able to do something for my life. So the first job I got in my wheelchair was with Scotiabank. And I went in there, and I remember the man looking at me was shocked that I came in and I could barely stand. But he interviewed me. And before I got home, he rang me and said, you know what? You showed incredible resilience today. And that was the word he used. And I'm going to offer you this job. I know you're overqualified, but you're going to find your way around and you move yourself up. And I did Scotiabank for 5 years. And when he left to CIBC, I was like, maybe it's time for me to go. But anyway, fast forward, I came to BC, and I took up a job here. And then the job for TD came up. I don't know anyone in TD, never saw, and I knew anybody. And I was still physically challenged. And I am still physically challenged. But I was able to get a job as a regional manager today for BC and the Yukon. So the challenges I face with my children wouldn't go away, but I don't see them as a failure. I I see me as a gift to my kids to be able to support them through those challenges they're going through. So I don't know what you're going through, or someone you know, whatever they're going through that resonates with what you've heard today. We should stand strong in the face of such challenges. And if you need help, please ask for help, because I did. I went through a series of therapy, counseling, and that made me the person that I'm able to give back this counseling and therapy to other people today. And then through my moment, paralyzed, there was nothing to do for 2 years, so I decided to be a psychotherapist, just to help other people. So enjoy your afternoon, and I hope you take away holding on to something that works for you. We're all going to be different, and healing is not a linear path. You don't get healed. You are healing. It's not a linear path, because life is a roller coaster. Things will come and test your resilience, and it will always test your resilience. But in face of adversity, you have to hold on to something that can work for you. I just want to leave this last thought, because I know someone who's close to me who is going through the moment of suicide, and I want to say to you, giving up is not an option. It doesn't take the pain away. Have a great afternoon.